The sole justification of mathematical contemplation is the usefulness of the mathematical action that follows from it. Through cool calculation, man can achieve a goal that is instinctively desired but cannot be brought about by direct impulse, just as a serpent makes its prey defenseless through its hypnotizing glance, or the squid by squirting its ink. L.E.J. Brouwer. But what is mathematical contemplation? For this, we must first accept that there is an outside world. Let's call this the territory. Further, each of us has a map with which we navigate life. Whenever the map corresponds to reality, it is considered true. Whenever the map does not correspond to reality, it is considered false.
Can't fly, sad.
And whenever the map has a missing part, it is a mystery. It is unknown. We know that we develop this skill when we turn 4, thanks to the Sally Ann experiment. The experiment goes as follows. A 4-year-old and a 3-year-old are observing the following situation. Sally has a basket, and Anne has a box. Sally puts a ball in the basket and leaves the room. Anne then moves the ball from the basket to the box. Sally comes back. Where will Sally look for the ball? The 3-year-old, who did not yet develop the concept of a map and a territory, will point to the box, where Anne just put the ball. But the 4-year-old recognizes that in Sally's map, the ball is still in the basket, and thus will point to the basket instead, because that's where Sally will look for the ball. A more subtler skill, but just as vital, is to recognize that their own map does not necessarily correspond to reality. How can we know whether our map is true? There are things we have to trust in this map. Our perceptions, our parents when we grow up, and simple facts, such as that the food is not poisoned in the supermarket. Yet questioning everything one holds dear is how progress is made. The famous mathematician Descartes was afraid that an evil demon might trick his perception, and arguably the greatest logician, Kurt Gödel, who found a surprising loophole in the foundation of mathematics, was in constant fear that his food was poisoned, and every day he kept measuring his food intake and bowel movements until he finally died from starvation after refusing to eat anything the nurses gave him in the hospital, because he could not prove that they were safe to eat. Even Plato lamented that his senses limited his knowledge about the true nature of the world, just as the prisoners in his allegory of the cave could never experience the outside world. One can get more certainty by having multiple people work together in the pursuit of truth. The scientists, for example, keep testing the validity of their theories among their peers, but can never truly know that a demon isn't tricking them collectively. It's a hard pill the scientists reluctantly swallow. But can we not do better than the scientific method? Well, I argue we can, by taking beliefs out of our own map and placing them into reality. Chapter 2. Taking beliefs into the outside world. The earliest record we have of such an abstraction is that of the village Tel Sabib Ayad from around 6000 BCE. 2 houses were used in this village for storing cereal, and arguably the village leader was tasked to oversee how much sheaves of cereal got placed into these prehistoric silos and by whom. However, instead of relying on his map of the territory, he introduced the numerical abstraction of quantity. He created tokens to signify how much cereal was stored by whom. If an evil demon were to trick the village leader's memory, he could go back and match up the tokens with the amount of sheaves of cereal without relying on his map. He still, however, can be tricked by the demon during the process where he matches up the tokens with cereal. The demons have not yet been conquered completely. Historically, the quantity of tokens were then reduced to marks on tokens, which were then even later reduced to numbers on tablets. Now, you only had to rely on the ability to map objects to symbols, and symbols to objects. But this ability can of course still be tricked by demons. This process of taking things out of our map, and instead relying on tools in the real world, gradually continued, and not only freed up memory and time for us, but also made us more resilient to the trickery of demons. Leibniz, a good friend of Descartes, who took Descartes' idea of demons changing his perception seriously, created a machine that allowed mental arithmetics to be done outside of his mind. It is unworthy of excellent men to lose hours like slaves in the labor of calculation which could safely be relegated to anyone else if machines were used. Through human ingenuity, we have now built machines that can detect the amount of cereal from a video camera, can then detect a person by their face, and store the amount of cereal each face has. On request, the system can then display and mechanically output the appropriate amount of cereal. We did it! We have successfully reduced the entirety of truth outside of our human cognition. And using the scientific method, we get more and more certain that our machine is indeed a correct grain accounting system. We have slain the demons and created a method even better than the scientific method without having to rely on our map anymore. Or have we? What makes us so sure that the demons did not trick us when we created the system? How can we possibly verify the correctness of our construction? Who makes sure that the machines we create don't suddenly escape on the internet and start controlling people into their own doom? How do you think the village leader can eliminate the remaining demons? To find out, please subscribe so you don't miss it, and like the video, as it helps the algorithm. Thank you.